Hello, class. This is Demetrius Wilson, and we are now on Chapter 4, discussing e-business and e-commerce, which is a very interesting topic, especially in today's day and age, where not only has even prior to the pandemic, there were a lot of brick and mortar companies, and that when I say brick and mortar, those are the companies that you walk into their physical doors, like if you're walking into Sears or Macy's. There were a lot of brick and mortar companies that were on the decline, and a lot of things were being pushed towards online. And the pandemic has just it's just accelerated that path towards online purchasing. For the people who probably would have never thought to do it or didn't want to do it, they've changed their ways because you've kind of had to. If you don't want to go outside, people have started to order groceries and I have them either delivered or have them picked up, like you just pull into the slot and I say I'm in stall 5 and bring it out to me. So everything's changed for all of us, and we were moving in that direction anyway. It's just sign of the times and things going in a different direction in terms of purchasing. Obviously, Amazon has changed the game completely in terms of what you're looking for and how you purchase things. I personally would much rather just go on my phone or on the computer and order something from Amazon as opposed to walking into the store. Now, when I was younger, I was totally different. I'd love to go to the mall and shop and do all that stuff and do all the extracurriculars that go along with going to the mall. But this day and age, totally changed my tune. If I can, I will not like step foot inside a store. I would rather order everything online or wait in the parking lot for someone to bring it out to me. So we're going to talk about e-business and e-commerce. Start off by talking about Vermont Teddy Bear Company, and then we'll kind of move forward and fast forward. Like, well, what did that evolve into, and what do you see now? Obviously, I mean, I'm sure this business has taken a huge hit, but Build a Bear, where you go and you basically create and build a bear, and it's about the experience and all those businesses that are about the experience right now that you go and kind of do things and build and create things. All of those businesses have took an extreme hit during the pandemic. So let's talk about Vermont Teddy Bear Company. That's our reading rainbow section for today. So in 1980, John Sortino got the idea for making teddy bears. He was playing with his young son Graham and noticed that none of Graham's 38 stuffed animals was made in the United States, right? And that's some of the things, if you just look at all the tags and look at and to see where things are made and created, whether it be your electronics or your clothes or anything like that, a lot of that will not say made in the United States. This inspired John to make a teddy bear for Graham named Bercho. John then went on to make others, falling in love with the idea of making them by hand. Bercho was soon followed by Buffy, Bear Barazar, and Fuzzy Wuzzy, all made in his wife's sewing room. So by 1983, John was selling his bears from a gift cart at an open air market in Burlington, Vermont. This sale of the sale of his first bears took 4 days, and it took 1 year to sell 200 bears, right? And so you remember we watched the video and it discussed and talked about being in business that first 999 days, and it's how that's the toughest part. The Vermont Teddy Bear story, all right, is listed there and also in your textbook. So, but today, the Vermont Teddy Bear Company produces about 300,000 bears a year, right? So he went from 200 bears, right, to 300,000 bears in a year, right? And that is obviously not an easy road just to jump from one amount to the other. There's a lot of trials and tribulations that go along with it. But it's just a little bit about what he's done and how he got there. The Vermont Teddy Bear Company has tapped into America's long-standing love affair with teddy bears by creating a wide variety of customized teddy bears and shipping them to customers via the well-recognized Beargram, a customized bear placed in a colorful box with an air hole and a game printed on the inside and enclosed with a personalized greeting and candy treat. So if you guys think about it, what other things are like that are so specific? And I have 3 daughters, so the American Girl doll store, right? It's one like over there in the Grove, and again, that's another business I'm sure that's been affected by the pandemic because it's an experience, and have these things where you take your doll and then they have tea and crumpets or whatever else they eat and drink. And so I had to take my daughters there, and then they took their American doll with them, and they put the little doll in the seat. And so it's all these customized things that you see, dolls that look like your children and things of that nature, and things that involve an experience, right? So of course, when we go in there and take the doll to eat tea, you're going to see another doll that you like, or drink tea. And you see another doll that you like, and they're hoping that you purchase. So they're not just saying, "Hey, pay us this money for this experience." They're also saying, "Hey, we want to boost some more sales by getting you inside the store." The biggest thing is just getting people inside the store. And I'll give you, not to delve off too far, but before we, finish up talking about the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, is that when they have all these sales like Black Friday and everything, they get you into the store. And they're going to get you in a store like, hey, big screen TV, $25, right? Somebody gets it. One person gets it. Maybe it's probably the manager, but maybe one person gets lucky, but everybody else doesn't get it. But if you go into that store, you want to leave out of that store with something. You want to have purchased something. And so, people will look around, they'll find a good deal, and it gets people in the store. Whatever gets them in the store is great marketing for the company. So Vermont Teddy Bear Company has experienced many changes, including John's departure in 1995 to pursue other interests, and the addition of Pajamagram and Calyx Flowers and additional unique brands. But Vermont Teddy Bear Company remains a household name and a Vermont icon. Probably an icon there, but most other places, right? You would probably think like, hey, it's probably going to be Build-A-Bear that people would recognize, much more often, especially out here. Jay Bruns, Vice President of Branding, talks about the importance of knowing how to present the product to so that the company can grow further, right? And so that's what everybody's looking to do. You want to continue to present the product so people can grow the company further. And a lot of times you're not able to. A lot of times you're able to, and you have to even look back in history and see what the path is. Like I know when I was a kid, I would get that Sears catalog. That thing was huge, right? And I would want all kind of stuff in there. And I soon realized that I wasn't getting anything in there unless I, made some money on my own to get it and purchase things from there. But everything, you're looking around and your eyes are popping out of your head and you're saying, hey, I want this, I want this, I want that. Those things used to come from Toys R Us, right? No longer with this Toys R Us. And that was a big experience. Everybody, if you're a little bit older, you knew Toys R Us and you grew up on that. And if you wanted some toys, you went there. But all of a sudden, here comes Amazon, here comes Target, and all Walmart and all these other places that are going to sell those same toys and probably for a lot less. It's cyclical. And you have to stay relevant. If you're not relevant, your company will probably end up ceasing fairly, quickly. I mean, they'll have a good run, 10 to 15 years if you're lucky. But there's always something, a different type of solution that's coming to replace what you've been doing. So right now, a Vermont Teddy Bear is a unique gift that promises quality for life. But the dynamics of gifting have changed. Same day or overnight delivery is not special anymore, right? That's what people are accustomed to. So Vermont Teddy Bear must offer something more than convenience. It needs to go to a go-to gift of choice rather than an emergency or last-minute gift, right? It's just like, hey, I want a Vermont Teddy Bear as opposed to, oh, last minute, let me just get one of these. This requires presenting the product as fresh and special. Telephone interview with Jay Bruns, Vice President of Branding, the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, said that e-commerce is an integral part of Vermont Teddy Bear's marketing strategy, with online sales accounting for more than 1/2 of its total sales. So half of their sales come from online as opposed to brick and mortar where people walking into a store. The company saw the growth in online buying and launched its website in October of 1996 in an effort to reach the online consumer base. And that's what everybody's trying to do now. You have to reach the online consumer base because it's kind of not any other base at the moment. Elizabeth Robert, the CEO at the time, saw the potential synergy between radio and the internet and use the power of the company's radio advertising to direct customers to the company's website, right? And that's a key thing, right? So you may say, hey, I'm not going to get people to do certain things via the radio or newspaper or things that are coming defunct, but I may be able to drive them to my website. I may have a commercial on TV that drives people to our website, and the website will take it from there. So drive them to the website where they could actually see the bears they were ordering, right? Which is great. Victor Castro, who's the director of e-commerce, who's the perfect person for us to be talking about during this chapter, describes the company's e-commerce strategy as direct marketing with a focus on easy ordering and customer being able to interact with the brand. So ease of use is always so important when you're talking about ordering something online, whether it be on the computer or via the phone. Like ease of use is just number one for everybody. People want to get online, click what they want, and get offline. Right? That's what people want. Convenience has become even more convenient, and the Vermont Teddy Bear Company makes things simple. They have a thing called keep it short and simple, right? The KISS method when they talk about it in sales. If you're in the military, they say keep it simple, stupid, right? Which is the tougher, rougher version of it. But sometimes you do have to keep things a little bit more simple, and you want people to be able to go 1, 2, 3 in terms of their steps. As a consumer becomes more proficient online, it will be necessary to communicate properly that the Vermont Teddy Bear gift is all about what it's all about, right? The experience of owning the bear. So once you get to the website, then you want to know about the experience. Same thing with the American Girl doll. If you go to these different websites, you'll kind of see what the experience is. Castro says that the company has been very successful at that. However, the company's e-commerce strategy must evolve with the changes in the online customer. So as people change, those companies have to change, right? Or otherwise they won't make the same type of sales. Telephone interview with Victor Castro, director of e-commerce in Vermont Teddy Bear Company, had listed that. So a lot of these things are cited in sources that you'll see. You have companies that will get interviews because they're successful, but you have to stay relevant. For example, people wrote books on Circuit City. So if you guys remember Circuit City, and Circuit City was a place to go. People loved Radio Shack. You don't see either one of those anymore, right? It's not about today. It's like what you can do tomorrow. If you noticed the strategy for Best Buy, every one of those Best Buys that popped up, they popped up not too far from the Circuit City. They have brighter, more vibrant colors. They were much more helpful, much more customer service friendly, much more customer service directed in terms of their approach, and it worked. So, like a lot of people now they don't even know who Circuit City is or that they even existed because all they know is Best Buy. Same thing if you look at like Sports Authority. Sports Authority, I used to go there all the time, get all kind of different things. But as Dick's Sporting Goods came into play, and they opened up these big stores. They were bright. The lighting was great. Things were just a different color. And, just the feel, the experience was a lot different. And everybody started going there. And it's still going there. And where's Sports Authority? They are gone. So you have to really be, a company that can continue to move with the times. Montgomery Ward, I've heard, talks of some of these companies before, and they were just like, hey, we're not going online. That's not what we do, right? Well, it needs to be what you do, right? It's necessary. I mean, even if you think about us and teachers, right? There are a lot of people who said, hey, online teaching is not my thing. Well, when the pandemic happened, then what exactly are you going to be able to do? You have to learn to adjust. You have to be able to adapt to your environment and be nimble. Like I said, our a CEO that I used to work for, he would always talk about being nimble, right? You have to be able to stay on your toes, be able to move right or left whenever it's necessary. Learning objectives, a few of them that I'll discuss for this chapter. Define e-business and e-commerce and explain the difference between them. People use them interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. And we'll kind of tell you when it goes from e-business to e-commerce. Understand that there are several different types of e-commerce that a business can be engaged in, more than one type at the same time, and that's perfectly fine. You open up multiple, avenues of revenue. Explain what a business model is and why the model is selected, and why it's so important, right? So you have to have a business model. Not, and that comes out of your business plan, obviously, but your business model says this is how we're going to drive people in and this is how we're going to sell to them. If you don't have a thorough business model, you're just kind of spitballing it, throwing the spaghetti on the wall. It's not going to work out unless you're just super duper lucky. But most of these companies are really directed in their approach and what they're doing. E-business and e-commerce are terms that are often used interchangeably, but e-business and e-commerce are not the same thing, as I stated earlier. The section will elaborate on the differences between the two, and some are, some of the foundational knowledge that is critical to understanding and using e-commerce in particular. Right? You want to make those sales online, you're going to have to follow a certain format. It is important that small businesses understand the nature of e-business and how it can facilitate operations as well as growth. Some of the larger companies, like I said, didn't want to go in that direction, and that's okay. But things are going to drastically change for them, and they're probably, like right now, they're probably extinct. Um, and that's growth if it's desired. Remember, I talked about, as a company, Tony's Little Italy, and the growth is not desired. It's like, hey, we're making good money with one location. We're just going to keep it that way. It's been said on other occasions, and it will continue to be said, that not all small businesses are looking for growth, and that, like I just said, that's perfectly okay. Choosing instead to happily remain small. For the small businesses that do want to grow, however, e-business can help you do that. Right. So here's and this is, like I said, it's in your text, but these are some of the components that are relative and stemming out of your e-business. So you have business intelligence. You need to know about data. You need to know, like, okay, everybody's clicking here and then they're leaving our site, and everybody's clicking here and they're going on to buy. How do we get those people who are clicking and leaving the site to click here instead and purchase our product? Customer relationship management, typically, like I said, I'm in the tech industry, and a lot of those companies use the same CRM. Typically, Zendesk is what I see most of them utilizing. And same thing, we'll talk about a little later, if I can get to it through the lecture, is the same thing in terms of, the things that they use to communicate. I see, most of the companies use Slack. If you have Slack or have used it before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, take a look. If I mention companies that I say are on the cutting edge and doing well and things that everybody's using, look them up, see what they're about and see what they do. Supply chain management, right? You're going to talk about how do you get those raw materials and turn those raw materials into your product and then sell your product. Well, let's just say I'll give you guys some hints on how people look at things and how they do things. Well, I sell skateboards, right? And I need wood to make the skateboards. Why don't I put my manufacturing plant right next door to where I'm purchasing the wood from, right? Because if I can get the wood directly from them, it comes quicker, and it cuts out some steps in my supply chain. So there are ways to make supply chain run more smoothly, but there are a lot of things that you kind of have to think outside the box. Like, some people wouldn't think like, hey, let's move our company right next door to them, so that way we can eliminate all these shipping costs. Enterprise resource management, we start talking about managing the finances and everything like that. Start talking about how do you utilize a formula to figure out, okay, how much money does it actually cost? Talking about how much you're paying in salary, how much you're paying in that you paid for natural resources that you purchase, right? How much money are we using to make this table, right? Is it $15 per table? Is it $20 per table? E-commerce, it switches over to e-commerce when that sale is made and when you exchange, something that you're able to utilize, right? So it's e-business when I'm marketing and all that, but e-commerce, it changes to e-commerce when I say, okay, I need that mop, give me the mop because I want to mop my floor, and you take the money for the mop. Online activities between businesses, right? Business to business, we're going to talk about that. Business to consumer, consumer to business. Collaborating, if you look at things like GitHub, I used to think like so many people like knew all these things like on the tech side that I didn't know, and I realized, everybody's going to GitHub and just getting the answers from somebody else who went ahead and posted it there. And then electronic transfer within the firm, right? So there's so many different like neobanks and things out there now. I encourage people to kind of check them out and see how they can best benefit them. A lot of them have less fees. A lot of them are more flexible in terms of how the members and people can utilize them. So things like aspiration chime, things like that. You want to check them out and see how they may best benefit you. The day of the old bank where things were walk in, wait in a long line, do all these different things, those days are gone. Most of this stuff is done online. It's funny too, because like sometimes you could tell how old somebody is depending upon what type of finance app they have. Like if they have PayPal, like you might be a little older. If they have like Cash App or Zelle, right, might be a little younger, a little bit in between is probably Venmo, right? It's funny. It's the same thing applies when you talk about email addresses, right? You see somebody, Demetrius at AOL.com. It's like, oh man, that guy's old, right? And then, mostly up to date, people will have had it that go through Gmail, Outlooks, like somewhere in between. That's one tip, you guys always got to be cognizant of if somebody, looks at your resume. You don't want to get, caught by, a case of ageism where people are, trying to assume like what your age is, not saying it's right, but, just telling you reality. You may want to make sure that or just go ahead and create a Gmail account, because in that way nobody else is sending anything to the account, and you'll be able to know and identify really early if you do get some type of feedback in terms of a job. Business intelligence, like I already talked about that. I already talked about the, data and the stats and things that you utilize to make certain decisions. And that's the best way to do it, right? The data, the details, that's what's going to prompt you to make the right decision. People go off a gut instinct. A lot of times those businesses end up failing. I already talked to you guys about the customer relationship management system, such as Zendesk, supply chain management as well. Companies that like think about these things, they do much better, right? Because it's more than one way to affect your bottom line, right? You can affect your bottom line by spending less and you take home more money, right? Or you can affect your bottom line by making more sales. Ideally, you want to do both, right? You want to make more sales and you want to reduce your costs. An e-commerce business model is a method that a business uses to generate revenue online, right? How do you make money online? Business model spells out how a company makes money by specifying where it's positioned in the value chain. Some models are quite simple. A company produces a good or service and it sells it to its customer, right? I produce a skateboard, I sell it to my customers, easy peasy, right? If all goes well, the revenues from the sales exceed the cost of the operation and the company realizes a profit. And that's the key, right? Does the profit that I make, does it, exceed the cost, right? If the costs exceed what I've made, then now I have a different type of problem. Now it's time to, let go of people here, let go of people there, and see if I can get it to really, really tight and see if I make some money on each one of these that I sell. So despite the popularity and pervasiveness of e-commerce, not all small businesses, again, may be interested in pursuing e-commerce as a part of their business. Many businesses survive without an online presence, and that's very true. However, business analysts have agreed for a long time that for any company larger than a local mom and pop store, e-commerce is now a business requirement. It's definitely a business requirement. What do you guys do when you're about to go to a restaurant? Like, oh, let me go to Yelp. Let me see what type of reviews they've had on there. Anything like people are always going to look. Let me look at the reviews. Let me see. They said they had roaches in this restaurant. I'm not going there, right? So you have to be cognizant of what's being said, what's being done in terms of your customer, or in terms of your customers, in terms of your business online, right? You're going to need to be cognizant of that. So when you talk about the website, do you buy it or do you build it, right? So do you purchase it? Do you say, hey, so-and-so agency, I want you guys to create my website, or do you build it and bring some people in-house and build it? I'm going to say most people tend to go towards the buy portion of it as opposed to build it. A lot of times these in-house functions can become rather cumbersome. Cash flow implications, and that's always an issue, right? I was doing an interview the other day, and one of the questions that the interviewee had for me was, oh well, how are they at financially? How are you getting funded? And in this day and age, people do have to think about that. So if you're a huge, large company, like a ADP, you definitely don't have to worry about cash flow implications because you stood the test of time over the years. You've done a great job and continue to grow. So you don't have to worry about cash flow. But if you're a startup company, if you raise your Series A, raise your Series B, by the time you get down to Series C, you're like, hey, If there's some cash flow implications and there's some issues that are going on, we need to address those because we need the money to place to these different areas in order to grow. The cash flow of a small business should benefit all of the resources of value just mentioned because they should result in lower operating costs, right? You want to spend less money, improve customer relationships. You want to make sure that your people get the stuff when they need it and that they're happy. Uh, and a cash flow should increase a result of prepaid purchases by businesses, right? Because you want that money in house. I want you to pay me, and then I'll send you this or I'll do that. Ideally, I want you to pay me first. You have multiple payment options. The greater number of options, the higher number of sales, and the higher average order, right? Lower cost of sales, right? So that I said, it costs $85 to sell this car, right? So now as we get into the groove of things, it's going to cost $80, then $79, then $65, and that's how you return more money into your pocket. And eliminating many steps in business processes and cutting down the middleman, right? So it's always somebody in the middle that says, "Hey, I can get this deal done for you, and I'm going to go over and do it." But do you really need them? And can you cut them out? And then saving money on employer and salaries because of customer outsourcing. And a lot of times, like in the United States, that's definitely frowned upon. But what I have seen lately, as opposed to people going to outside of the country to produce things, I have seen an influx of people coming back. Right, and those people coming back are saying, "Okay, well, where are the plants, and how do we make this, and how do we make that?" And to fire a plant back up for operations that was sent elsewhere is always something that people they definitely celebrate. You want to make sure that you're saving money on employees and salaries because of that customer outsourcing. If you're outsourcing it and it's costing you more or costing you close to the same, then maybe you shouldn't be outsourcing it. But like I said, it does work for a lot of businesses. So small businesses, since it enables them to position their niche goods to people shopping for particular niche goods. There are four ways the internet is transforming, small business, right? So you want to make sure that that you're focusing on the right things and that you're utilizing e-commerce in the very best way. This towards the end of the chapter is a thing called Disaster Watch. I definitely want you to check that out. I'm going to mention and go through it real quickly before 30 minutes is up. So it says, "I've been hacked," right? And you'll hear that a lot, and you hear a lot of people accuse companies of getting their information, things of that nature. Not discouraged by the bad economy, Marnie opened up the country store in the local shopping center. McCormick had done her homework. She originally leased the store front from a temporary stint and then selling a line of unique handcrafted products and locally made foods while asking people what sort of products they wish were available in the area. In this way, she was able to build the kind of store she needed using existing demand to decide what kinds of products she would offer. And so, isn't that quite interesting that just asking those questions would give you the information and give you the answers that you need to say, okay, I need more tomatoes and I don't need any more pickles because nobody wants these pickles, right? That information is very, very crucial to growth. McCormick had a myriad of concerns at the startup. Inventory, suppliers, marketing, everything's such a concern at the beginning, right? Outfitting the store, administrative systems. What she did not know was that someone had hacked into her computer system, and that's the biggest thing. That's something that you definitely have to keep secure. I know one company I was at, they told everybody, "Hey, when you get up, Control Alt Delete, lock your computer," and people just weren't doing it. So they came up with this great idea, or maybe not so great idea, to just send crazy messages from that person's computer, right? And I must admit, I got on board and was doing it all the time too. People get up, go to the bathroom, they hadn't closed their computer. We send all kind of crazy messages to everybody throughout the company, and they're looking at their email once they get these responses back, and they're wondering what's going on. But I think that was a great way to make sure that people actually did what they were supposed to do. So from somewhere unknown, the hard drive of her computer in the store had been hacked, and the hackers had downloaded a key logging program virus that makes it possible for the hacker to record all of your keystrokes, gaining access to passwords and other sensitive information. So for those of you who are not very trusted in the internet, those things do happen, and people don't understand like how the different devices people utilize to hack into your information, whether it be like a baby monitor, right? Some type of security function that you have on there. There are a lot of different ways for people, especially the good ones, hackers, to kind of get into, to your accounts, get into your computer, and do a lot of different things. So, so yeah, that's always interesting. Got to stay cognizant of that. And people say, "Oh, that's exactly why I don't use computers." But there are other like browsers that you can use, and by utilizing those, you don't get a lot of that. Like I think it's a DuckDuckGo. So if you check that out as a browser, a lot of you guys may want to jump on that as opposed to utilizing Firefox or utilizing Chrome. You may want to check those out. I use both of those. I use Safari and I use Chrome. But there always is a time and a place, and there's a fit for something like DuckDuckGo. So, for sake of time, I know we're a little bit past the 30 minutes. Just a couple things that I want to touch on. Oh yeah, so that was basically it. It's just a little bit at the end talking about them being hacked. I want you to kind of finish up, checking out that story, about that. And a lot of times it's tough, especially not only if it's you in your personal life, but also in the small business terms. And then you want to make sure sites and things of that nature are secure, right? So people have a lot of concerns about that, and rightfully so. My mother's the same way. Mother won't order anything online. She wants to order something online, she'll either send it to me and ask me to order it, or ask me to give her my credit card, right? So she's like, it's okay if if they hack your credit card, but not mine. So, but yeah, it's just as we change with the times, things are different. Things are different, moving from e-commerce and e-business, to the next step, and how things will definitely rebound when it comes to the pandemic. So that's it for chapter 4. Make sure that you guys complete the test. So, chapters 1, 2, and 3, you had a quiz. Chapter 4, you have a test, which will encompass everything from chapter 1 to chapter 4. Again, like I said, this is great text. I would say it's not an easy read, but an easier read. I would expect for, everyone to do really well on the test, and complete all the other items that are listed in your module for chapter 4. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I will be glad to assist. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.